Okay, good afternoon. Welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us. As you all know, thanks for joining this Ecoalf webinar. As you all know, every year around this same dates, we have a very famous discount campaign, Black Friday, which we believe it's promoting overconsumption, it's generating a lot of waste, and it's using unnecessary natural resources. For us at Ecoalf, I mean, we've never participated in this campaign. We believe that it has no sense and it has no coherence with our model and with our philosophy. No, I think this year has been obviously a tough year for all of us, for individuals, families, companies. I think there's a lot of families right now even fighting for their own sustainability. So it's not an easy year, no. But I think at least in Spain, when it was the pandemic, which hit us very hard, it was amazing to see how, I mean, we had dolphins in our ports. We have a lot of animals going to the center of the villages. We had blue skies. No, I think it was amazing. So I think we have to analyze all this information. I think, at least in our opinion, we're sure that the planet is shaking. We can't keep on acting as if nothing's happening. And I think we have to start creating a business model which has a balance between the planet's health and our current and future needs, no? And try to create something which goes beyond a planet, beyond next season. No, I think it's very important. That's why this is the reason why I wanted to bring together international voices with a clear message, which I think can give us and showcase different alternatives and a different point of view to help us discuss about what's going on and the business model around fashion and what's going on around the world. So I think I'm going to introduce, I'm joined by Clare Press, sustainable fashion expert, which you have there in the left top of the computer, author and presenter of the Wardrobe Crisis podcast. I did my first podcast with Claire 2 years ago. It was my first one, so, and I have very good remember of that day, and which is going to help us moderate the session. So Claire, thank you very much for joining us. Then we have Christopher Rayburn, no?
Very close, Rayburn, thank you.
British designer who established his brand in 2009. I think all of you know him because he has these iconic pieces, no, of outerwear where he was mixing this original military parachutes to make the outerwear. Since then, he's made amazing collaborations with brands all over the world, with top brands. So thank you, Chris, for joining us.
Real pleasure. Thank you for the invite.
And then we have Orsola de Castro, which, as you all know, probably is the co-founder of Fashion Revolution, which continually is educating us all, consumers and the industry, to demand more transparency. So Orsola, also, thank you very much for joining us. And I leave Claire to moderate the session.
Fantastic. Thank you, Javier. That was fun when we did that podcast. It's episode 77. If you want to go back and listen to it. Actually, Christopher Raeburn and Orsola de Castro have also been on my podcast.
Okay.
Delighted to be here. I am actually a genuine and huge fan of the work that you do at Ecoalf. I think that the way that you center circularity and lead on these discussions is exemplary and really wonderful to see. And I should also say that Ecoalf is a B Corp, which I love very much. As mentioned, I'm Clare Press and I'm going to be your moderator. The reason that we're here today, I think all of us together, is because we love fashion and we want to continue to enjoy fashion and this industry that we work in, but we want to do so in a responsible way, and we can't do it in this mindless, disconnected way. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We'll be having this discussion for about 30 minutes. If you have any questions or comments, because we haven't got an awful lot of time, we would encourage you to ask them via the Ecoalf Instagram, so DM them and then we'll endeavour to get back to you. Now, before we dive in, I wanted to share some facts with you about Black Friday. Some of them I didn't know, and perhaps you won't be across the kind of history of this stuff. So Black Friday is, of course, an American tradition, but did you know that it only dates back to the 1940s? It's the day after Thanksgiving and it extends over the whole weekend until Cyber Monday. It used to be called Big Friday. According to the New York Times, Black Friday only kind of took off as a phrase in the 60s. But guess when it became the biggest shopping day in the US? It was only 2001. So it's only been 20 years that it's taken for us to get to this frenzied, crazy kind of situation. Maybe around that time, everyone else didn't notice this was an American tradition. But today, of course, Black Friday has spread all over the world. Here's a fun one. Well, I thought it was fun. According to a survey conducted on behalf of the coupon site Retail Me Not, 12% of Black Friday shoppers are drunk.
Wow.
Yep. They all admitted to having indulged before they'd hit the stores under the influence. When you talk about that, like talk about mindless disconnection, I'm all for a drink, but do we want to shop drunk on the sales? No. Now, finally, and not so funny, Black Friday sales, just looking at online, reached $7.4 billion in the US alone last year, and Americans spent more money than ever before, a total spend of $69 billion that weekend. But this is not about me complaining about America, because this is universal, as we said. Europe is absolutely not immune. According to the World Economic Forum, the countries spending the most include, in this order, the UK, thank you, Germany, France, Italy, and Spain, in that order. So that's a bit of context. Now, I just want to dive straight in and ask you all the same question. It's like a provocation. What's so bad about it? Don't we all want to be able to get things at a good price? Is there really anything wrong with shopping in a sale period? That question to you, Javier, first.
Well, I mean, since the beginning, we've been against not only against Black Friday, but also against the continuous discount campaigns. I think when you go to the US, you see it. No, they're always on a different campaign, and you always have discounts. And I think that's creating a huge amount of waste. It's creating a huge amount of unnecessary use of natural resources. And I think it takes us nowhere. I mean, we've never done Black Friday, but I remember last year talking with a warehouse, where it's a very big warehouse in Spain, and they do Black Friday for many brands. I mean, the rate of return of clothing was 61%.
Oh, wow.
Probably one of those were drunk. No, a percentage of those were drunk. So people are buying and buying and buying clothes which then they return. Cara, that's ridiculous in terms of sustainability. No, it's transport, coming back, a new plastic bag, new label. So I think it's a way of consumption which has no sense. Okay. I think we need to start working on a way of consumption which is, first of all, probably consume less, and then with a bit more responsibility.
I'm going to come back and unpack all that, but I want to throw that to you, Christopher. What's so wrong with it?
Well, I think I'd ladder on what Xavier said, that the reality is there's enough stuff out there already, right? We make 100 billion garments a year as an industry, and already 20% of those garments don't get sold. And then we're manufacturing all this stuff to go into a sale period as well. And when you stack all of that together, it's obviously incredibly damaging. And I suppose for us within Rayburn, it's always been about sort of quality over quantity, and really looking for different ways, different systems, different ways of working. And I think just the reality, if we sort of put all of this stuff together, the sort of environmental and inventory crisis that, again, has been exacerbated by COVID this year, and we put that on top of Black Friday anyway, there's enough stuff out there. So I think we just really need to rethink the model. And yeah, I'm just proud to be here tonight to maybe chuck a few ideas around.
Brilliant. Okay, Orsola, what happens? I mean, not everyone can afford to buy on at full retail price. Are we being kind of elitist and exclusive by saying you can't shop the sales? Isn't that ridiculous?
Yeah, we are a little bit. And the point is that what we need to look at is, what do these sales look like? Because if they look like Black Friday, then of course we have to antagonize this system of excess. But we don't have to antagonize the sale in itself as a concept. When I had a brand, my shop was at the very top of the Portobello Road, and one side of my road was really affluent, and on the other side of my road, much less. These days, these moments that we could go on sales meant that I could sell to the other side of the road to people who would never have been able to afford one of my clothes. And it actually made me really happy and joyous. And was it for me, I would have probably been on sale a lot more often. But we have to look at Black Friday in the context of overproduction and exploitation, as Javier was saying, of resources and people. And in this context, the way that we have taken this somehow initiative to go on sale, which probably started with a very different, outcome. No, what we are doing now, absolutely, this success needs to be antagonized in every way that we can. And I'm very proud to always be consistently amongst the voices that talks against it. But we do always have to remember that, we are niche, and the majority is still nevertheless looking at an opportunity to purchase things that they couldn't otherwise afford.
And we'll come to this later, but I noticed that on the Fashion Revolution site, you use a mattress as an example, where you're saying if you need something and you're waiting for it to be a better price and you buy it in the sale, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. What we're looking at here is this kind of frenzy to acquire things you don't want, that you're not thinking about, that, and in actual, we'll come to it, maybe has been produced only to be sold on sale. Okay, Javier, let's start with you. We're here at this event and you've called it Recycling Black Friday. Do you want to talk us through that and tell us exactly why it is that you want to show leadership on this topic?
Well, for many years now, we've been trying to create awareness about this issue, and that it's not necessary. So we always, recycling for us is very important. So that's why, since the beginning, we said, okay, recycling Black Friday, because we don't need Black Friday. We need to change it in a way. So we've been trying to every year send different messages around this, create awareness, and make people think about the necessity of this campaign, and why do we need to keep on buying and buying and buying? Because, as you said, this is not a problem of waiting for a product to be in discount. This is a problem where people are buying things which they probably don't need, and that they've been produced only for this. So this is something I always say the same thing. Right now, regarding sustainability, many people think you're sustainable just because you use a sustainable fabric, and you're not sustainable. I think what has to be sustainable is the model behind your business. And I think the model of buying, throwing, a new trend every Thursday and a discount campaign every month is not sustainable. It's creating huge amount of waste. So I think we all now, especially this year, which has been so hard, I think we have an opportunity, and I think we have a responsibility to redefine the business model, not only the fashion industry, which we all love, but also in other industries. But of course, here we're in the fashion industry, so I think we have an opportunity, and I think all of us need to raise our voice and try to make changes.
Actually, there's some comments here in the chat saying Green Friday, and I think it's been so interesting, and it kind of gives me hope and joy to see that lots of people are trying to redefine it and almost like steal this moment as an advertising one to kind of use it for different purposes, right? Christopher, I remember reading a story about you, and I've written it down here because it was in 2018 and it was in Harper's Bazaar. And the headline was, Christopher Rayburn has closed his shop on Black Friday to protest consumerism. We simply cannot continue to consume the way we do, you said. What kinds of reactions did you have to doing that 2 years ago?
Yeah, I suppose it was something. We're a very small company within Raeburn. At the time, we had two stores, one more in central London, one within our atelier space. And all of a sudden, I suppose, even though I was 7-8 years into business, I became very aware of what retail really was, bricks and mortar retail, and then that much more attuned to it and that much more aware of the realities and the competitiveness of it. And also all of the tricks that were happening and all of the other ways that at points other brands, other stores, etc., were working. And I suppose I saw the looming shadow, if you will, of Black Friday coming through, and not just the weekend of Black Friday that then goes into Cyber Monday, but the reality as a small business, particularly if you wholesale as well, that your product can be actually on sale for 2 weeks before Black Friday, potentially, then all the way through into Christmas. So all of a sudden, maybe that's a 3 month period, because then you go into January sales anyway. And then, of course, there are ways of other clever ways where there's a spring sale and an Easter sale, and all of a sudden you're looking across the whole year. It's 48 weeks of sale, or it can be as bad as that. And the only thing I knew is that it scared the hell out of me, and it didn't make sense. So I suppose when I had that first opportunity and we had the retail stores, we thought, let's make a statement, let's see what people think. And really encouragingly, and I'm very grateful, a lot of people thought the same way. So when we posted, we put posters in our window for the stores, and then we put things online. You couldn't, of course, buy anything from Rayburn online either. And the amount of support that we had from of course, our community, but really importantly from other brands, from journalists, from everyone that had kind of been thinking the same. And exactly to Xavier's point, then all of a sudden it was reassuring, because we knew, well, we need to redouble our efforts. We need to work with other people. We need to push together to make a difference.
I remember just in terms of reactions, there was lots of press about it. I mean, people were like, wow, who does that? Of course, Ecoalf does that. I'm going to just share another one of the chat comments, because I thought it was very
I think also, Claire, I think it's important. I remember, I think it was 3 years ago in Hong Kong, and I was getting the office of a very important manufacturer, which I had met in a panel. He was the CEO, huge company, which I would never be able to manufacture with, because they manufacture for huge companies. But he was very kind. He invited me to dinner. So I went to his office. And when I was coming in, there was a man coming out, and he was the head buyer of a big US retail group. And he was buying for Black Friday. And of course, they wanted the similar product they had in the stores minus 25%. So at the end, that's tough, because a lot of the pressure of the discount is coming in the producers, in the manufacturers, in the people who sue. That's a lot of pressure is there. And it was very tough, because they said, oh, they want the same quality, but 25% less. At the same time, they want us to invest in being more sustainable. This doesn't work. No? So it's also important that people know that a lot of the product which has sold during those days, they're already manufactured to have 25% less cost, which is under the shoulders.
I don't think people know. I don't think people know that.
Yeah, but that's a reality.
Yeah. Also, I was going to ask you what you think people don't know. Do people know, like, you as a consumer-facing organisation, Fashion Revolution, are people aware that these great discounts actually were manufactured to be sold at that price, or were purchased to be sold at that price?
Well, some are and some aren't. It's like we've got a wide community of followers, and so obviously some are more aware than others. But this is what we're here for. At the end of the day, the rest of the year, we fight for the problem that is at source, and this is what we need to keep remembering. But basically, what is Black Friday? It's dinosaur dump. It's these enormous mainstream brands producing way too much and showing no sign of slowing down, throwing their shit at us, rebranded with a black label rather than a red one for sale. But, I agree, this is why we are taking such a strong stand over the culture that has become this continuous mass production and accelerated disposal, because it profoundly affects our supply chain and profoundly affects the people who make our clothes. But actually, when it comes to transparency and public disclosure, when it comes to waste, we know almost less than anything. I'm going to actually read you a couple of statistics that you can find on our Instagram feed, but also Fashion Revolution is doing a big anti-Black Friday campaign, so you can follow us and find it. But basically, just 4% of brands disclose the volume of product and textile waste generated. This is their own waste. Only 3% of brands disclose data on the amount of products destroyed, especially incinerated, during the annual reporting period. So, we can see just from those two small, numbers that they don't tell us how many pieces they're producing. They don't tell us about overproduction. They don't tell us with the link, as Javier was saying, of overstressed and overtime work, when it comes to the supply chain worker. And this is what we need to dismantle, which is why we all campaign in order to bring this to the forefront. Interestingly, we recently posted something on returns and how, you know, when we buy something online and we return it, the greatest, you know, the highest probability is that it will be landfilled. And the comments were staggered. I mean, you know, people really couldn't believe it. So this outrage that we can generate by providing this information is what needs to be somehow tapped on, because, you know, it's only the awareness of people that understand how the industry operates that will eventually lead to change, because when the habits will change, that will influence the brands to change themselves. But, you know, the excess that we're seeing now is beyond any logical sense, beyond any common sense. And this is what we need to keep on drumming home.
Sorry, so just to pick you up on that, you just said, when you make an online return, the high likelihood is that it will be landfilled.
Well, just if we think about it logically, which is what we don't do. We don't think when we buy clothes nor return them. I mean, these clothes are dispatched by enormous warehouse, produced in their millions. There's no manpower, there's no sense. It cannot go somewhere and then be rechecked for quality and reintroduced into the system. It goes to die somewhere big with so many billions of others and then is landfilled or incinerated. That's its journey, that's its fate.
I don't think people know that either.
When you buy 3 sizes to check to choose which one is the right one, the 2 others that you're buying, buy forever, landfill or incineration. So, you know, you can't throw anything away because there is no way. But okay. Yes, this is what happens.
Wow. So I'm just going to repeat those things if people didn't catch them or want to write them down. So if you buy something online for sale and you return it, there is a high chance that it could be wasted. And lots of brands are producing specifically for the sale. So when you buy that discounted thing, actually it's a lie, because it was always intended to be sold at that low price. Javier, tell us what you've been doing instead of Black Friday over the years at Ecoalf.
Well, every year we try to do different things. So this year we have many actions. I think we've been communicating since already a week about this to create awareness. We've promoted this webinar on Friday, where we just started a beautiful project in Spain, where, as you know, we're very related with the ocean. And we always say that the problem, most of the waste which is in the ocean comes from the rivers. So we have started this project with Biotherm, which is a cosmetic brand. So we're going to clean this river, which is 180 kilometers long, 3-year plan with cleans up every 15 days. It's a beautiful project. And we're starting this Friday. So on Friday, we're going to go to the office to start cleaning that river. And then we've also made this, and then we've made this amazing video with Tom Follery, which, I mean, we were so lucky to hear about him and to hear his poem during the pandemic. I think you all probably know him. He was also, I mean, that beautiful poem he wrote in that very hard month in April, to explain what was going on to his brothers. And we got in love with Tom. So, with his sensibility, with his talent, and we contacted him, and we were surprised because he was so accessible. He was so nice. He was so human. He was so, I mean, he's an amazing person. And he agreed to write this poem regarding Black Friday. And I think the way Tom writes and the way he explains things, I think has a lot of impact with people, because he doesn't point fingers. He's not aggressive. He makes you think with your emotions. So he makes you understand, and I think it's a beautiful way to change people's minds. So we've made this video with him, which we're going to share with all of you at the end of the panel, which we believe it's amazing.
Fantastic. Christopher, I want to ask you what you've been doing instead of Black Friday. We talked about in 2018, you closing the stores, but Faye, who's one of our participants today, she mentioned that, of course, you've done these repair shops instead of Black Friday. So talk us through what you've done as an alternative.
Yeah, so you obviously mentioned about 2018. Then last year in 19, we again closed the stores, but this time we opened our doors because Rayburn's all about craft, creativity and community coming together. So we opened up the studio and we welcomed anyone to actually come in and repair garments that they might have in their closet, because the most responsible garment you already have. You know, it's in your wardrobe, right? But for a lot of people, there might be a small repair, maybe a zip or a button or any of those things that might need a little bit of TLC. So we encourage people to come in and then actually talk real skills on the day, and in fact over the whole weekend. And what we also did was not just for Raeburn garments, for any garment. So it was all about teaching new skills, putting, as I say, craft and creativity a bit back into people's hands. Because I think a lot of the reality of the world that we live in today, we've become quite detached from the clothing that we wear, you know, the way that it's made, the way that the skill that was used to put it together. So a lot of what we're trying to do within Rayburn is actually teach those skills again and give back through the work that we're doing. So it's been fun.
I did ask you to prepare so you could dazzle us with a bit of scope around textile waste. Did you have some stats you wanted to share? Before you said we're producing more than 100 billion garments a year. Yeah. What are we wasting?
I mentioned that just the reality of earlier of those 100 billion, then 20% isn't being sold anyway. So already 20 billion things. The thing I really want to highlight is just that within the fashion industry, we're of course, we're known for creativity, innovation, ingenuity, but so much of what we do as an industry is actually so old fashioned.
Yes.
It's pretty bonkers that as the way that we've developed, we still, even with online, we still make these billions of pieces. We put them in physical spaces around the world, thousands of, hundreds of thousands of spaces. And we assume that when the right person walks into that store, we've got the right dress or the right pair of trousers or the right pair of shoes in exactly the style that we want. It's pretty insane when you put the level of risk and the way that that's sort of magnified at each stage. So within the work that we're trying to do at Rayburn, it's very much about de-risking. It's about challenging things. We do a lot that now is either made to order, very low numbers that then allows us to scale in the right way. And I think as a business, and of course Xavier and Orsola will know all about this anyway, we have to start moving as an industry towards three clear streams, either doing things that are very high quality and repairable, that can sort of stay in circulation for as long as possible, make things that are recycled and recyclable again, or make things that are organic, natural, and ultimately can go back to the earth. Whereas what we tend to do is unfortunately a mix of all of these things, and the result is not good. So the more that we can do, looking back on the fact that we do need to make those billions of garments, but probably not as many, but let's really focus on doing things in the right way, with the right quality, and wherever possible for the right people that actually need that product. That's the key to this for me.
Brilliant. I wish that we could do this for 5 days. I've got so much to ask you, and I find you all so inspiring, and I'm grinning because I love how creative and innovative and full of alternatives you are. When you were talking there about a culture of creativity and repair, I was just thinking, well, Orsola is all about that. You need to talk about that. But your question isn't that, Orsola, although you can touch on it, because I really do want to just drill down on this before we run out of time, which is that Fashion Revolution has got this campaign, which you mentioned before. You're asking your community to take a stand against the environmental and social damage of hyper discount culture and say no to Black Friday and Cyber Monday. But let's just talk a little bit about that social damage, because we've talked about the waste, but Fashion Revolution's making a very clear link between waste, disposability, and exploitation. Do you want to touch on that?
Of course, I mean, the cheap culture and the culture that makes us go on sale all the time is because we've got too much product. And as we know, that product is made very often, unfortunately, in, undignified working conditions by people that are underpaid and exploited whilst exploiting natural resources. I mean, the fashion industry as we know it now, and it was really interesting to hear your story around Black Friday because it kind of coincides, but the fashion industry has designed itself to exploit people from, you know, every possible way, and it's been centuries of in the making, and we really just perfected it in the last kind of 40, 50 years with this real, you know, non-transparency. It's like, you know, it's like you've given kids the sort of, you know, the story of Pinocchio. It makes you think, you know, when Pinocchio arrives and it is in the Parco dei Divertimenti and there's all the sugar and the sweets, and, you know, we know that excess leads to indigestion. We're just about getting the first tummy rumbles as people and beginning to understand it. I overdid it, I overread. But ultimately, we've been force-fed like foie gras. Obviously, I mean, I'm some sort of animal.
You're hungry, love.
Whatever. But we've been force-fed. Nobody in the 60s or 70s woke up and started demonstrating, saying, give me cheap clothing. We had way more interesting issues to protest against. So the brands have the onus of this responsibility, because these amounts were not created to feed demand. They were created to generate demand. It's completely different. So what we make, you know, what Fashion Revolution tries to explain is that it's driven by profound inequality and exploitation as a system, as everybody else has been saying. And in a way, Javier, I don't want to disagree when you said we don't need Black Friday. I'm kind of tempted to say we do, because it shows the ultimate, the ugliest, the most disrespectful face of what this hyper production has meant. And I don't want to call it hyperconsumption because I don't want to put the onus on citizens. I want to call it overproduction because I want to put the onus on brands. And this is what I try to explain, that, you know, we've been force-fed. We don't want to go on a diet, but we need to, as citizens, develop as much knowledge as we possibly can in order to, you know, address some change. And guess what? Where is your wardrobe? Somewhere in the fashion supply chain. What do you do every day when you wake up? You make choices. So if I want to be poetic, I would tell you, what's wrong with someone buying a beautiful, beautiful dress during Black Friday that they could never, ever afford otherwise, and love it and mend it for life and have it repaired and pass it on? There's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that culture of love, as there is nothing wrong with not being able to afford clothing that were designed for an elite. So balance, you know, and we've lost it.
Balance.
So to re-find it.
I love that. I was going to share this comment before and I've just found it because I thought it was very interesting. It's from Pino Betancourt. And they say, do you remember those images of Black Friday showing hordes of people squashing at the door of a shop? It's like mass tourism and other mass low profit models that rely on disconnection and impulsive (childish) behaviors. I thought that was a good one, so thank you. We're running out of time. I love all these comments. I hope that they will be saved. Javier, let's just finish up by talking about what Royal Business has also said. It's on the brands. If we don't want to blame and shame citizens, we have a systems problem, which Christopher and you both touched on. But what can brands do? What role does business have? You guys talk about education and showing by doing. What does that look like? And what would be your kind of closing remarks on that?
I think we all have responsibility. No? I think the brands have responsibility, the consumers have responsibility, even the people who legislate have responsibility. I think we all need to work together to redefine the kind of world we want to live in. And I think we're in a crucial moment. I think we're in the point of the iceberg, and the decisions we take, we decide now, are going to have a huge impact. So I think we all need to take our part of responsibility and really get out of our comfort zone and make, you know, decisions which are brave, no, and might not be commercially wise, or they might affect our P&L in the short term, but I'm sure it's going to make things much better. No? And for me, it's complicated to imagine a world going really bad and companies doing really good. I think if the world goes really bad, the companies will start doing bad. I think it's all linked. So we need to all take decisions and make our own decisions.
Why are you in business? I've asked you this before, but I find it very interesting. You didn't, none of you did you, go into any of these fashion endeavors in order to make money? You did it for a different reason. What? I mean, it's good to make money so you can continue to be a business, but why did you actually start? Like, what's your purpose?
Well, to be honest, when I started, my purpose, I used to do sports very seriously. So I started a little company so I could keep on training and I could earn my own money. So nobody at home would tell me anything. So it was a different reason. And then, well, one thing to another one until today. Yeah.
But I mean, it's about like really looking at systems, cleaning the oceans of plastic, using fashion as a communicator, right?
Yeah, I think Ecoalf, I think we have, since the beginning, we had very clear that we wanted also to be a story doing company, not a storytelling company. So for us, it was very important to really do things. It's not about telling you how dirty is the ocean. Okay, what are you doing? No? And I mean, we're a small company, but we've already taken over 600 tons of waste out of the bottom of the ocean. So I think if all of us start doing little actions, we can make a change. No? I remember I was asked 2 weeks ago, I was in an interview and they said, Javier, how do you envision 2050? And I said, well, it depends what we do from here to 2050. I think it's up to us. So we can create the kind of 2050 we want. But if we keep on acting the way we are, it doesn't look good. So we think we need to take decisions.
Absolutely. Christopher, I'd like to ask you to perhaps close with, I'm going to ask you about why you're in business too. What's your purpose, but also what's your call to action?
We ultimately have an obligation and want to use responsible design to change the world and have a more positive impact on the planet. And my call to action, really, there's a danger on these calls that you end up speaking to yourselves. It's amazing to speak to friends tonight and to meet new friends in Xavier. But to anyone listening in, I think it's so important that we discuss and we speak outside of our normal kind of echo chamber, and that we get others to be questioning the world that we're living in today, because I think that's where we'll have real positive changes and the ripples really start. So I think for me, it's very much about, of course, with Black Friday, please buy nothing. Please think about repairing something instead. Within Rayburn, we're actually going to be giving out repair kits so people can do that. But ultimately, as I say, I really encourage people, the advocates that I'm sure we have listening here, to get out there and really continue to push, because this is it's a hard mission that we're all on, and the very nature of trying to do something new and to change a big system, it's not easy, and we're all going to need to work together. So I look forward to working alongside you, and thanks again for the opportunity this evening.
Fantastic. Orsola, Queen of Upcycling, co-founder of Fashion Revolution, the most amazing campaign that gets consumers to stop thinking about being consumers and be active citizens. What's your call to action? What would you like people to take away from this, but also this time period, this Black Friday weekend?
I like people to take the time. I mean, if you take how long it takes somebody to research the perfect pair of jeans, how long is it? How tight is it? Is it the right fit? Research what fits your principles and not just your size. So look about the materials, look at what the brands are doing. It's roughly the same amount of time that it is. And that's what we need to do. We need to become way more informed and buy what we want to buy for a reason, not just because it's there. So obviously I will say, please follow Fashion Revolution. We have many ways for people to get involved, because everybody is different and everyone will be interested in entering this conversation in a different way. I totally agree with Christopher, as in we need to ask you guys who are listening to open it up even more. But if I can conclude with something. Going back to your eco chamber, Christopher, we have been in roughly the same eco chambers for quite a long time. Haven't you noticed how they were really, really tiny when we started and how much bigger these eco chambers have become? And I'm the granny of it all here, and probably have been alive and saying the same things again and again for longer than everybody else. But I can tell you that that's why I feel hope, because the conversation has evolved, because there are more people having it, and because it's becoming more intelligent, more critical by the hour, not even by the day. Especially with, after the last year, which has acted as some kind of great giant magnifying lens on everything that has gone wrong and everything we need to put right if we want to continue to evolve. So I want to leave it positive. And again, Black Friday, make it be the visible beast that we need to turn against.
I'm just going to share 2 comments from participants because they're so nice. There's definitely momentum, says Amelie. Let's keep driving that. A positive note to end on. Thank you all. And there's another one here. I think you guys don't realize how much impact is being generated because you are inside. But to those of us who look from the outside, change is happening. It's just huge changes need a lot of time to build energy and momentum. That's beautiful. Javier, just really quickly, a call to action.
Call to action. I think we have to invest more in education. I think we always say at Ecoalf, that we spend a lot of time worried with what kind of planet are we going to leave to our kids, and we should be much more worried with what kind of kids are we going to leave to the planet.
Fantastic. I want to thank you all for joining us on this call. It's just been a delight and a pleasure. And thank you, Javier, and your team for convening this. Now, we're going to end with something so lovely. You mentioned it before, Javier. So Ecoalf has collaborated with the poet Tom Foolery, and he's written a poem especially for this event and campaign to recycle Black Friday and to help consumers truly realize the gravity of impulse buying. It's beautiful, it's thought-provoking, it stays with you as all poetry should. And because he's delivering it in this lovely film, it lends itself to sharing. So I would invite you to watch it, but also share it. So you can find it on social media, share it with your friends, and let's get this conversation continuing while we don't shop this weekend. Thank you, everyone.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you very much, Orsola. Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you very much, Claire, for moderating everything. And thanks you all for joining. And please share the video because this Tom is an incredible poet.
Are we going to play?
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent.
We're going to click here. Yeah.
You click the full screen. Can't hear it. There's no audio, guys.
No audio.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to try it again. It's worth it. Help.
There's no audio.
Let's see if we can.
Yes, the comments are stop sharing and try it again. We can get there.
Let's see.
We'll wait. Thank you. I'm reading.
Apologies.
Everybody loves us. They don't mind.
It was all going so well.
Yes.
This bit's not my bit. I'm not taking any responsibility for this.
No, all good.
Christopher, do you want to take this moment to read us a poem of your own?
I think that would be very
Now, do you hear now?
bad way to end. Looks like we're back in the game.
We are still in silence.
It doesn't, we're not able to hear it?
No.
Uh,
I don't know.
But we can look it up on YouTube.
We
Right?
can. Okay.
yeah, I
So-
think we apologize. I think we have it in our Instagram account. So
You know what?
Oh, yeah, that can be
Everybody
your-
who has been waiting with bated breath to listen to this, it's everywhere. You just have to hop on to the Ecoalf Instagram, which is at Ecoalf, and then you will find it on Instagram TV in all the posts. You can find it on the YouTube channel. We will share links, and you know, anticipation makes it even better.
Thank you.
Thank you,
okay,
everyone.
thank you very much, and apologies.
Thank you. Bye.